ABC 10 News at 6 starts now.
Neighbors share more COVID concerns surrounding a nearby Airbnb rental in Bankers Hill.
I'm 77. Having that many people not wearing masks right next door, yeah, it does concern me.
Why one man wants the city to expand an investigation into properties owned by the same person. Plus, San Diego stylists and barbers, they hit the road ready to rally outside the state capitol for change. Why they say guidelines that let them work outside are hurting their business. And 1 year after that bluff collapse killed 3 women in Encinitas, more of those cliffs come down. A renewed push for change along the coast. But first, there are more complaints surrounding Airbnb rentals in Bankers Hill, raising concerns about COVID-19. Last week, the city attorney's office filed a case against the owner of one of those vacation rentals, accused of violating coronavirus-related restrictions and numerous city and permit codes. Tonight, our ABC 10 News reporter Melissa Mejia spoke to a man who wants the city now to investigate another property owned by the same person.
The neighbor we spoke to says he moved in next door less than a year ago. According to him, the party's been going on here for the last few months.
It's disruptive every weekend.
This neighbor didn't want us to use his name, but he said the owner of this Bankers Hill house on 3rd Avenue, called the Alfred Mansion on Airbnb, is violating public health orders.
2 weekends ago, there was a wedding there with at least 40 people. Nobody had a mask on.
Records show the property is owned by David Curiel. Last week, ABC 10 News told you about this Airbnb rental called the Ashley, also owned by Curiel. The city attorney's office filed a case against him for not only packing a party house during the pandemic, but also illegally renovating the entire property. The city attorney's office said the case against the Ashley is the first of its kind during the pandemic, prioritized because the owners refused to comply. This neighbor is concerned about what he said is happening at the Alfred Mansion.
I'm 77. Having that many people not wearing masks right next door, yeah, it does concern me.
He's filed complaints with several agencies and Airbnb, but hasn't heard back. I called a phone number for the property manager, and that person hung up on me. I tried to get in touch with Curiel as well. He told the Union Tribune the allegations by the city attorney are baseless. Airbnb has said hosts are not allowed to authorize parties where current public health orders prohibit it.
I'd like to see their ability to have parties like this every weekend taken away.
A spokesperson for the city attorney's office said if a judge agrees with the injunction in the Ashley House case, other properties Curiel owns are also at risk of closing if they are found to have similar violations of the law. Melissa Mejia, ABC 10 News.
And we are waiting to hear back from Airbnb about this latest accusation. The city attorney said taking every single party Airbnb to court would simply be too costly for taxpayers, adding that she believes the city needs clear regulations for short-term rentals. And this is just into our newsroom. Bankers Hill isn't the only place that's about to see enforcement ramping up. San Diego City Council member Jennifer Campbell just told ABC 10 News an announcement on the large crowds in Ocean Beach that is also coming. We showed you these scenes last week as people packed Veterans Plaza. Campbell says it's clear that more comprehensive action needs to be taken to keep San Diegans safe. That announcement will be tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock. We'll let you know what they decide. Students, teachers, and parents in San Diego may be in for the long haul when it comes to online learning. New standards were just released by the San Diego Unified School District that may mean that a return to in-person classes is still months away. The district will consider case rates, community outbreaks, testing positivity, and many other elements that are out of their control. They'll also look at what they can control, such as face coverings and ventilation.
Obviously, where we're at in our community right now in San Diego is we are in a red zone. We are nowhere near being able to meet the conditions that are necessary to even begin our slow phased reopening. And what we're trying to do is get to the point that we are in a yellow zone.
The district says it is also looking at how to keep vulnerable students safe. That plan has yet to come. After rising over the weekend, San Diego's 14-day rolling average for positive COVID tests dropped again today. That number is now down a full percent from where it was about a month ago. It remains to be seen if county's downward trends continue, but it helps that just 3% of all tests reported today, they came back positive. The county says 228 more people have tested positive for coronavirus. Nearly 33,000 San Diegans have contracted that disease since the pandemic began. and nearly 600 San Diegans have died since March. Thankfully, the county did not report any additional deaths today. Today, the governor warned of a deeper financial hole if the president's unemployment extension proposal comes to pass. Trump wants states to shoulder the portion of those benefits, which Newsom says could cost California billions of dollars.
If the state of California was to absorb those costs, you're looking at $2.8 billion every week of state resources that we would have to find, programs we'd otherwise have to cut, or revenue we would have to generate.
The governor also repeated his stance that more federal help is needed. California has already burned through more than 75% of the $15 billion it got through the CARES Act. Right now, San Diego salon owners are making the 500-mile, 8-hour drive to Sacramento to rally against having to work outside. Our ABC 10 News anchor Vanessa Van Hefty spoke with owners who say the option to work under the sun did more harm than good.
We're really fighting for, the whole industry.
Austin Campbell owns 15 Sola salons in San Diego County where more than 600 licensed beauty professionals work. All say it's not feasible to work outside.
All you can do is just cut dry hair. At the end of the day, that's 5 to 10% of probably the total service dollars.
Campbell says the new outdoor rule was just another big blow to the industry.
Now it's making it more difficult for somebody like Rudy and Charlotte to get unemployment. Just dry cuts is not going to pay the bills.
In mid-July, Governor Newsom issued a reclosure to halt indoor dining, bars, salons, and other services after a spike in coronavirus cases.
The second shutdown is felt just like we're being completely wronged.
Campbell is driving to Sacramento tonight, joining other stylists in the state who will demonstrate on Capitol steps demanding to work inside.
It's worn on people. It's causing people to move out of the state of California. They're just getting out of hair. They're retiring early.
Charlotte Delgado leases this space from Campbell. She and her husband are master stylists and haven't received unemployment or paycheck protection loans. They have filled out mounds of paperwork.
Tell me how I'm supposed to pay my bills and put food on my table.
Stylists have been making noise here on a local level in front of the county administration building, arguing salons are cleaner than most stores due to standards and regulations, taking their fight now to the Capitol. Campbell says stylists will be cutting hair on the steps, hoping lawmakers hear their plea. Vanessa Van Hefty, ABC 10 News.
That protest is at 1 p.m. tomorrow in Sacramento. Of course, we will check back in with Austin tomorrow and have coverage of the protest right here on ABC 10 News. In the meantime, Campbell has waived all rent and tenants during both of the shutdowns. Census takers in San Diego may not have the protection they need as they knock on doors during the pandemic. A local census field supervisor is taking his concerns public, saying the government did not give his team of 11 people enough PPE. He says each person only got one plastic bag with a couple of cloth masks and hand sanitizer. He's concerned that people are less likely to wear a mask in their home, even when answering the door. So he petitioned the Census Bureau to give field workers face shields as well. That didn't happen.
The leadership agreed that face shields in conjunction with masks, cloth masks, would be great to have, and they wish that they had them, but it's not going to happen. And so if I want them, then go ahead and get them, but you're not getting paid back.
He ended up buying his own, spending his own about $50 on Amazon to help his workers out. In a joint statement with the CDC, the Census Bureau said census takers are trained to wear their face masks, maintain that social distance, practice hand hygiene, and not enter homes to do those interviews. Firefighters are still digging through what's left of that La Jolla home, trying to find out what caused a tragic early morning fire. A little girl and her grandfather died in that fire. Our ABC 10 News reporter Rachel Bianco is at the scene with the battle that firefighters faced when they got there.
The family lived in this home for decades. This is a small cul-de-sac, and they were well known. The deaths devastating to the entire neighborhood. Cell phone video from a San Diego firefighter captures the intense inferno that quickly tore through the home. Neighbors on Caminito La Paz woke up to the sound of screaming just before 4 a.m.
I started hearing glass and breaking, and I go, what is going on? And then I saw few small flames. I immediately called 911, and it was just a little bitty fire that turned into a big fire.
The captain says firefighters made it here in roughly a minute, but it was already too late. The two-story home was engulfed. It was too dangerous for crews to go inside. The roof quickly collapsed.
When they tried to put a ladder up to the second floor, that the heat coming out of the second floor immediately started to scorch their ladder.
A father and his 10-year-old daughter had already made it out. The man seen here suffered burns trying to rescue his younger daughter and 80-year-old father.
I'm much more concerned about the little girl that might be in there.
Hours later, those fears realized when firefighters found two bodies. Family members tell 10 News an 8-year-old girl who is nonverbal with severe autism and her grandfather did not survive. Obviously tragic for the family, but also the crews who desperately tried to save them. The father and daughter are in the hospital, expected to recover. Rachel Bianco, ABC 10 News.
Just heartbreaking. 1 year